Hello everyone, and welcome back to Source Coder Hub. In this series, we're working on building a React Redux CRUD application, and in this video, we'll install the useDispatch hook, create a new post, and learn how to dispatch actions to the Redux Store. Here's a high-level review of what we're building. We're going to have a home page that displays our posts, a form post where we'll create posts with a submit button, a post list which displays a list of posts. It'll include an edit button and a delete button. The edit button will be a link that will send us to the edit post route, and the edit post will display a single post by ID number. And on that edit post route, you'll see the actual post form with data from the selected post. That post form is a reusable component. Then there will be an update button which will update the data in the Redux Store. If you've been following me since part 1, you'll remember that we created posts as our home page, and we also created post lists to display our post. The goal of that video was to show you how parent and nesting routes worked, but that's not the goal in this video. So I'm going to make some slight adjustments because I don't want the value of what we're going to learn in this video to be nested under the topic of nesting. So I'm going to make a slight adjustment to that code. Instead of using post as our home page to display a list of posts, we're going to be using another component, which is home.jsx, to display our component. And we'll use ES7 snippets to create that. And let's save. So our post will display immediately when the application loads. We can close the post components because we won't need that one, as well as the post list component. And we're going to start updating the home component. First, we're going to change this to a section. And it's going to have the class name of center. And we're going to import two components. One is the post list, which we already have. So let's see if we can use IntelliSense to import post lists. Of course, it's not working. Let's just manually import it. Import post list from, there it is. And then we will include the component here, post list. And we also need another component, which is the form component. So let's create that one, form or post form JSX. And we're going to use ESS snippets to create a functional React component with export. And let's save that. And let's see again if we can import it. I want that to be above the post list. Post form. Yep. There we go. Sometimes IntelliSense works and sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Let's correct that there. Now that the home component is complete, let's open up app.js. And since we're not nesting, we can remove the post route. And we can include another route. Post form. And let's auto import this post form. There we go. And we're going to move that up like that. So now let's go back and start building our post form. Okay, so we're going to basically here, we're going to replace that, and it's going to be a form We're going to have an input, and we're going to have a button called create, and they're both going to be of type text. This one's going to have the name of name. And it's going to have an on change. It's going to be a handle change. And this second one is pretty much going to be the same, except the name is going to be called description. And let's just have one more. We're going to have one called author. It's going to be named author. And the form is going to have an on submit. And we need to create a handle submit for it. I'll just go up and we're going to create the function for both of those. So first of all, let's do handle change. It's going to have a we're going to prevent the default event behavior and include our own functionality. When the user clicks on the button, we want to change the value of the input and store it in state. So we need to do that. We need to create state here. So state is going to be const form data set form data use state, and what we're going to include here are the properties, name, and the default is empty, and description, the default is empty, and also author, the default is empty. So when the user clicks on any of these inputs, we want to set the form data to e.target.value, which is basically what the user types in. So it's going to start off blank, but if they update it, then state, the local state, will be updated based on what the user types in. So that takes care of handle change. And what about handle submit? So when the user submits the form, what do we want to happen? Well, first, we don't want the default behavior to take place. So we're going to include a prevent default. And we want to capture the values that the user typed in, and we want to send them over to global state. So how do we do that? So what we do, remember, from the example, is we need to import a hook. We need to import useDispatch from React Redux, and we're going to use it here. When the user types in a value, oops, sorry, we have to initialize it. Let's initialize it here, after state, local state. So let's go ahead and const dispatch, use dispatch. Okay, so now we can actually use it after we initialize it. And we want to dispatch, which means we want to send data to the global state. So here we type dispatch, and what do we need now? We need to dispatch an action. and we don't have an action, so we need to create it. Let's go over to features, and the dispatch that we have is called create. Let's make sure that we exported it. Yep, we have create, and we want to use it in our post form. So import create. Let's see if IntelliSense will work for us. Create. There we go. So we want to use it here in this dispatch, this action. And what do we want to create? We want to create a post. So we need to include data here to create the post. And what is the data that we want to include? It's what's in state, right? So we can here, we can create like a const new post. And what's in the new post? Name. And that will be form data dot name, right? And then description would be form data dot description. And then author would be form data dot author. We need to ensure that it's a unique post. We need to include the ID, and we need to somehow create a new ID for each post that's coming in. In order to do that, we need another tool. And this tool is called Nano ID. Now, I think I need to import that. npm install Nano ID. So once you install it, it gives you a string. So that's important to know. It's not just numbers. Okay, so let's go back over. It should be installed. And we're going to import Nano ID. And we're going to use it. You can initialize it directly right there. And then we can feed this because we're getting our data from form data, set the ID. And we can go ahead and use it here. New post. When we submit the form, this action goes over to the reducer, and then we'll display it on the front end. So once it's sent over to the post slice, let's see what we need to do there. So we need to update state. Right now there are no entries, but we want to create a new post. In order to do that, we're going to use the action, the create action, and we're going to send it this payload here. So we're going to type state entries, and then we're going to push in the actions payload. Okay. And let's save that, save everything, and let's see if this is working. npm run dev. Okay, good. We've got type a post name, type a description, and then author name, and this creates the post. So let's create our first post. And before we do that, we have the Redux DevTools. You can kind of open that, or you can open the inspector, which is what I'm going to do. And let's move this let's move it over there. I want to see Redux. I want to see what's happening when we add a new or create a new post. So this is going to be called new post, and new post description, new post author. And when we click create, we should see our new post here in the state. So we see the action, we have the payload that went over. and it was assigned an ID. And that's how we create a new post. So this is the action payload that was sent over. So post entries, and now we have one post. And we're going to add another post. Now, when we go here, we have our payload that went over. And let's take a look at post state. We had one. So now we have two. Okay. Let's just do a third one. Third post. Third post. Now we have three. So I need to mention though, in order to see this Redux Toolkit, you would have to go to your Chrome browser and just add in that extension. Because if you don't add the extension, you won't see Redux, this dev tool, show up. It comes in handy when we're actually using Redux in the Redux Store. We can actually see what's happening on the back end using the Redux Toolkit. So I think this may be a good place to end this video. In the next video, we'll learn how to display and delete posts. Don't forget to like and share this video. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell button. If you want to be the first to know, connect to the Hub, Source Coder Hub's newsletter. Together, we share knowledge, code, and community. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.